Hello, Mike McManaman, product owner of IPS for LeverX. Today I want to show you the change record and how IPS integrates with it. So the change record is SAP's central object for managing engineering and product changes, and it brings together a bunch of different objects for change. So typically in the PLM world, that means materials, bombs, and documents. If we're talking about the process industries, it's specification and recipes. And you'll see in a moment, you can also add things like production routings to change records. So the change record, along with IPS, act as a hub for collaboration for change management. So it ensures all stakeholders are aligned on the scope of the change, the timeline of the change, and all the approvals. What I'm going to demonstrate today is the change record. I'm going to go basically top to bottom, explain the fields and what you're seeing on the screen, and then I'll make a workflow decision to show you a little bit about IPS. So at the top of the screen, you'll see a description of the change record along with a number. So every change record gets its own number. And you'll see things like record type. In record type, there can be multiple record types. And record types do things like determine the security, statuses, and objects and fields that can go onto this particular change. Now we see the change number, which in this example has not been added yet. It will later in the process. But the change number is the object in SAP, which helps control the validity date, and you would actually make changes to objects using that. So we have other fields like expected completion date, change responsible, and then we have a series of statuses that will let you know where you're at in the process and also control some security aspects as well. Another thing you'll see in the header is all the objects that have been added. So we can see that we have 7 objects total, and we have production routings, materials, bombs, documents, specifications, and recipes. And you can have one or many objects. So you can have, I don't know, 10, 20, 30, 40 objects if you want. In this particular example, we just have one on a few objects and two on another. So as we work our way down, we have a workflow decision. So this is something that IPS brings to the table. So a user would get an email or they would get something in their SAP inbox that they have a decision to make based on the workflow. And they would go in here and they would see, hey, I have a task that I need to complete. So I got to read my description. I see a task subject. And then in a moment, after I explain the rest, I'll show you what a decision in the comment section looks like. But you can see in this scenario, I have to assign the lead change number, which will be done automatically by the system, and just validate the change record information. So if I keep scrolling down, we can see I've made one decision so far. So with IPS, you get all your workflow data in one central place, and there's ample reporting for this in the background as well. But we can see I previously made a decision to proceed in an earlier task. If I keep scrolling down, I'll see general information, which will give me a description of the change. This is also where you can add more fields if you would like. It's pretty easy to add them on the change record. Then you have administrative data as well. So who created it, who changed it. I have a progress bar as well. As you can see, we're in our initial statuses. And then we have our item section. So this is where objects, SAP objects get added. In this case, we have one document, a couple materials, and I won't go into every button here. There's a lot of functionality here and a lot of information. But one thing I wanted to do was I'm going to go ahead and click on a material, and I'm going to click Analyze Impact. So the impact analysis functionality allows you to determine things about objects depending on your configuration. In this case, materials and what bombs they belong to directly on the change record. So you can see I clicked on a material, I ran the impact analysis, it ran a scenario which I configured in the background, and we can see that this material belongs to a number, 8 different bomb line items, so 8 different bombs. So it's just a way visually to see what this change of this object is going to do. And this is configurable. If your impact analysis looks somewhat different, that can be configured. I'm going to close out of that. Continue to scroll down. We see documents, materials, bombs, specifications, recipes, production routings. And you can add many of these if you want. In this case, we see one for many of them. But as you can see, you can add lots of different objects to this change record. So the change record also utilizes classification system in SAP. If you're not familiar with the classification system, it basically allows you to add many custom fields, many specific to your company or a given process, quite easily. And this is useful for reporting and searching and just giving you general more information about the change. We have an attachment section. So when it comes to engineering change management, um, attachments are important because sometimes you get supporting documentation from a customer and you need to add it to the change record. So this will, with an easy upload button, you click upload, add the attachment, and it creates a DIR in the background in the DMS system. So you will have this as an attachment and the reviewer can look at it. We have a comment section. We have something called a hierarchy as well. And this would be used if, best example that I see this often used for is if in the engineering change process, sometimes you have an engineering change request that goes into many different engineering change orders. So you could basically split and merge and divide up the objects and the information from this change record into a hierarchy so you can have other change records and other workflows separate from this. So that's the way it would be used. Then you have a log to track general information about what statuses have changed. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click edit, and I can see that I need to make a decision. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click proceed. Now I can leave a comment. In this case, I'm not going to. If it was a comment to go backwards in the workflow, it would be a mandatory comment. So I'm going to go ahead and click save. And so you can see in the workflow history, my decision was logged. I've made my decision, and now the workflow continues. And so this, another important point is this change record and this workflow setup took me less than an hour. So this workflow tool IPS makes configuration and changing and modifying and creating and testing workflow very easily. So some tools will take weeks or months to implement. In this case, it takes a matter of minutes. So using the change rec with IPS, you can manage engineering changes from requests through implementation. So it keeps functional teams aligned every step of the way. And your team can collaborate, document, and track progress in a centralized place directly within SAP. The change record holds all the details you need while IPS connects every stakeholder. So you want to see more? Visit leverx.com to explore your processes in depth and contact us for a demo. Thank you.